Ooh, we are live. Let's just make sure we're live on all platforms, firing on all cylinders. Let's just double check to make sure that that's the case. Give me 1 second, everybody. Okay. All right. All right. Now, it does say it's uploading. All right. So I just want to double check and make sure. Ooh, okay. Yeah, we're live. All right, everybody. So listen up. Some of you all can't help it. You are, and what I think I'm gonna do. Hold on for a second, everybody. I think I need to change. Okay, I think I have to change something the next time around. So that's what I'll do. I think the title is still from the old version. Okay. All right. We're just gonna rock with it. I'll update titles later. Listen up. Some of y'all can't help it. It's a Saturday night. You can't help but think about business. You can't help think about your work or some sort of strategy. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you with that. Well, not really your strategy as much as, at least right now, as much as you thinking about something to do with all of that creative business energy that you have. So let's get to it. I think I have this kind of little slogan I'm going to start saying. It's Bartley. Let's talk business. Sounds like it has a good ring to it, right? Okay, cool. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, y'all. I'm going to talk about the three types of maps that could have been saved, that could have saved eBay from the hype, from the Skype acquisition failure. I'll say that again for you. And the reason why I'm skipping here is because this is actually an article that I myself wrote way before the ChatGPT era. So this is my words, verbatim, that I'm going to be sharing with you. I wrote this in August 31st, 2020, actually. Okay, so this is about the three types of maps that could have saved eBay from the Skype acquisition failures. What you're going to do is you're going to learn how mapping eBay's customer experience could have prevented the M&A headache that they had with Skype. So what I want you to do is I wanted you to travel back in time with me to March 2020. Right? Close your eyes, not too long, because I also want you to see. And think about the fact that the dot-com bust had just begun. Tech companies are quickly collapsing, leaving behind a massive graveyard of corporate fossils to be excavated as case studies for years to come. Hello, HBR, Harvard Business Review. During this turmoil, there was one fledgling startup that asserted itself as the most profitable e-commerce platform, and not even Amazon could compete with them at this time. eBay was it. eBay was king. And a few years later, another company emerges from the peer-to-peer boom that has thrived during the dot-com debacle, Skype. So Skype then gets acquired by eBay 2 short years later. Now, it might have seemed like a match made in bidding and messaging heaven, but this brief union came to a detrimental cost. Because if eBay and Skype might have heeded the warnings of, and I'm going to cover this a little bit and then shortly, of Jack Welch's 6 sins of mergers and acquisitions, both parties would have begun to avoid traveling down this road that I would call to perdition. But it would take more than just Jack Welch's wisdom to prevent what would end up being a significant acquisition failure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down to you Jack Welch's 6 sins of M&A, and then I'm going to share with you the maps a little bit later that I think that they could have used. Right. So Jack Welch's 6 sins of M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Number one, merging with an equal company. This is an invitation to a power struggle. Number two, misaligning the cultural fit. This will bring on the culture wars. Number three, making too many concessions. And so now the buyer becomes the hostage. Huh. Number four, failing to integrate within 90 days. that happens, operations will stall or they might get costly. Number 5, the conqueror syndrome. The talent pool gets bloated. Number 6, last but not least, overpaying for the deal. And this is where you enter the buyer's remorse. All right. So the M&A sins that eBay committed, let's talk to her, because it's difficult to neatly categorize the eBay Skype acquisition under any of Jack Welch's 6 sins of M&A. The obvious choice would be sin number 6, paying too much for an acquisition. For those of you that are aware, or for those of you that understood what was involved in that acquisition, eBay bought Skype for $2.6 billion with a B. And then 2 years later, they took an impairment charge of $900 million, which means, oops, we seriously overpaid. That's what that means. So the root of the failure was eBay's lack of due diligence to understanding their customer's journey and Skype's active customer segment. That's going to be one of the maps that we're going to look at here. So at the time, Skype was popular with students and those who made international calls. So in 2005, eBay's largest demographic was between the ages of 35 to 45. There was likely a demographic discrepancy at play here. eBay wanted to expand the range of its customer segment, but might have failed to anticipate if Skype's younger demographic would readily adopt the online auction platform. Probably might mention this a little later, but if any of you have ever used eBay, it's not to be chatty patties. We are not here to talk, not even to talk business. It's literal, the most minimal conversation that's necessary just to get a transaction happening. So eBay misunderstood its customers, because there is, however, a more significant issue that's at stake. Their own customers, eBay did not care for an improved way to communicate with buyers. eBay was losing business and figured that adopting new technology would also result in improving the user satisfaction while adopting new customers, which were Skype's customers. But this never materialized. eBay did not fully understand their customers' end-to-end experience to give them what they wanted. And, you know, when I consider, let's say, Craigslist web design, it screams for a UI makeover. So, you know, nevertheless, it was leveraged the same, Craigslist we're talking about, has leveraged the same design since the 90s. And it's still in the top, well, when I wrote this, it was still in the top 15 websites in the US and amongst the top 50 globally at the time that I wrote this article. So it's because Craigslist understand why people use their online classifieds website. And this is a quote here. It's enabling a user to post something and enabling a user to find something. Simple. So Craigslist's UX has informed its UI design to remain as text-based and as straightforward as possible, which is similar to the classified ad section that you'd find in a newspaper back in the day. This is crazy that I have to say back in the day. So if organizational culture not only encompasses values but behaviors that make a company's environment unique, then eBay didn't understand their own online culture, let alone the culture of Skype and its user base. So I would also add sin number 2 to this, which is misaligning the cultural fit between the two companies. When you combine Jack Welch's M&A sins number 2 and number 6, you get a non-mathematical number 7. And this is my 7th one that I would add. The 7th would be, and this was when I was doing an MBA, what my MBA strategy professor, how he would put it, is a lack of understanding. So the big question here is, how do you gain a deep understanding of your customers? Well, it's not merely developing a customer journey map. That's the lazy answer. Not every scenario needs a full-blown customer journey map, but you will need a map of some sort. You will gain a better understanding of your customers by choosing the best map tool to empathize with their total experience. And that's the key here. The key here is empathy, all right? So you're going to be empathizing from when they picked up the phone, when they signed in with an SSO, single sign-on situation, or even when they pulled into your parking lot. Whatever it is, you need to start mapping it from the total, or with the total experience in mind. So Here I'm going to give you three kinds of maps you can use to begin making customer first decisions. Okay. Number one, use big data to map your customer behavior. So eBay could have understood their customers' behavior more accurately if they paid attention to at least three factors. First, the feedback they were receiving in the support forums. Second, how users were engaging with the current messaging feature. And third, what users were actually saying throughout the transaction. Now, were most of them finding creative ways to do business off the platform and still leaving great reviews? Well, many of us have seen the quote name in brackets at email in brackets.com in our messages. I don't know if you've ever seen that in eBay before, where you can't put your actual email, so you kind of put the at and the dot in actual words so that you're not flagged. And many of us have transacted with or transacted an auction successfully by just breaking this standard terms of service. Now, if eBay paid closer attention to this massive amount of information and data mined specific behaviors by developing certain algorithms, they would have realized that overpaying for the what I would call the Ferrari of instant messengers at the time, that's what Skype was at the time, it wasn't a priority or even a desire for eBay users. Big data, however, is useless if you collect it and you do nothing, or worse, you misinterpret the information. So many of our companies use the power of AI. Listen, yeah, I'm telling you, I talked about AI before. It's now, definitely on the right. In this case, even more permanently, I was talking about this 5 years ago, using the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So what it does is it would mitigate the fallacy of reading the tea leaves or just getting the narrative wrong. And that's the point of leveraging big data correctly. You must find the story, then you mine the data points, but you have to connect the dots appropriately to find the story of your customers, right? So that would be the first map, using big data to map the customer behavior. Number two, second kind of map would be leveraging a simple is the key phrase here, a simple empathy map. All right, an empathy map takes your data points, it humanizes your customers. But you don't need a big data or just big data in general for this type of map. But what you do need to do is you need to get out of the building, as Steve Blank would say, and you need to talk to your customers. So you need to draw a side profile of a face on a sheet of paper and ask three questions. I don't know how to draw. You don't have to know how to draw. Forehead, nose, mouth, chin. That's it. Or maybe just a circle with an eye, two dots, and a U shape for a smiley face. But what you're doing is, the point is you're getting these things on a canvas, whether it's physical or digital canvas. First, what are they hearing? What are they saying? What are they thinking? What are they seeing? What are they doing? That's jobs to be done. What's preventing them from doing it? Those are obstacles. What does it make them feel? Those are frustrations and pains. What do they want to accomplish? Those are desires and goals. Right? So if you don't want to draw anything and just get straight to it, then you can use some sort of printable template, which is called, in this case, the one that I have here is the empathy map canvas. And there are people, now, this was 5 years ago. So now there are a lot of individuals who, have some version of an empathy map canvas. And the goal of the empathy map is to get you out of your head about your customers and do the work of observing, doing the work of listening, and also empathizing with them. So you don't want to cram every job to be done into one map. Use as many maps as necessary to get an understanding of your customers. And if you want to get an even more accurate picture or even more accurate data, use one map per customer and then combine similarities and differences based on the same jobs to be done with your product or service. That may sound like a mouthful and a little bit confusing, but an easier way, I said this 5 years ago, but an easier way would also be an affinity map, where you're doing interviews and you're just combining the collection of obstacles, the collection of behaviors. Really, if you want to keep it simple, motivations, pain points, behaviors, but you can do so much more than just that, right? Laying out jobs to be done, laying out particular obstacles which are separate from frustrations. The obstacles are the thing, the frustrations is their feeling, right? And kind of bridging the gap between the two. Okay, here's the third map. So we did map number one, which was using big data to map the customer's behavior. Then leveraging a simple empathy map. This one would be developing what I mentioned a little bit earlier. I was like, not every, situation needs this, but the third one is developing a customer journey map. So it's probably for a lot of you, the map that you've been waiting for, the tried and true customer journey map. And, I like Nielsen Norman Group's breakdown of what a customer journey map is and how to use it. Think of the customer journey map combining the two maps above that I mentioned, but laying it out in a way that tracks the customer's beginning and ending of achieving a specific goal with your product or service. So Sarah Gibbons, she defines it this way. A journey map is a visualization of the process that a person goes through in order to accomplish a goal. So there are 7 components of a customer journey map. You guys ready? Here's the first one. You need the customer persona. This includes all of your empathy map work, but written concisely. Some of y'all write too much. You're writing as if it's big data. Because you remember, it's not just going to be you looking at this. Well, if you're in a team, it's going to be someone else, and it has to be written in such a way that it's what we call self-contained. It's able to explain itself without having being overwhelming, or with you having to add, your commentary or disclaimers. All right. And you all know this in business, the more concise, but, of course, having the pertinent information, the better. So it has to be written concisely. You describe them as a person, not a set of demographic data points. Next, you need a scenario. What is the context of the user in this journey? Third, you need goals. What are they seeking to achieve? Not necessarily with your product, but in general within the context. Fourth, you're going to have phases or stages, depending on what you want to call them. And depending on the context too. The journey through your product or service will be broken down into specific steps. So it's kind of similar to the hero's journey. You guys know I love the hero's journey, and I apply it to almost everything if I have the chance to. It's easier to move your customer to the next stage when you know where they're actually located in the story. Okay? This is storytelling, you guys. This is a visual type of storytelling. Next, you need quotes. What do they see during each phase? And with what they see, what are they actually saying? Okay? Emotions. This is typically demonstrated as a line graph, all right, that runs through the entire map. So up is usually if you have something that's, kind of a little higher is happy, down is frustrated, middle might be neutral. And then the seventh component and this is so important for actually building out solutions, is the opportunities and internal ownership. One of the most critical parts of the map. Once you can pinpoint the gaps and frustrations in your customer's journey, you will then document ways to fix it and assign those potential solutions to team members. When people think about customer journey maps, a lot of times they think about it's used for design, like when it comes to applications, or no, this is a problem-solving tool. I just recently read an article. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he separates the difference between design little d and design capital D. And how the capital D design is up there with like how you would say sciences and how you would say, liberal arts, or how you would say mathematics. We have designs with an S at the end, designs. And design is more than just an aesthetic sticker to put on something, or an aesthetic skin to put on something for people to like, or to feel like, this is great. He actually calls it the study of desire, of human desire. I think he breaks it down as, which is so critical, because if nobody wants it, first of all, you're not going to make any money, let alone anybody wanting to use the thing. And the thing doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be a mobile application. It can be a ride at Disney World. It could be anything. Okay. So not just products, it can also be services. So in retrospect, eBay wasn't the only one that was at fault here, because if Skype mapped out their own customers' journeys, they might have realized the acquisition would have made more sense with a company like maybe Microsoft, which is what happened in 2011. And even that's debatable. Some believe it was a successful acquisition, and others believe it was a blunder. After assessing Skype's hardship with eBay and now Microsoft, minus the recent growth and at that time, the recent growth would have been in COVID-19. So the growth then I thought it was safe to say that Skype is the common denominator in making acquisitions difficult. And perhaps the big data and extensive journey mapping might begin to reveal the complexities of the actual messaging platform in general. So, listen, you can find this. This was published in the Startup on Medium, and yeah, this is just a run through. It's a run through of understanding that some of the even the most complicated business experiences, decisions, they are, and they run back to understanding people. And in this case, understanding your people, understanding what it is that makes or breaks the want or the desire or a habit, like breaking a habit for them to like be like, I know I'm no longer want to do this. What are those things? What makes your customers tick? What makes the people that you are serving or the people that are buying from you? What gets them? What triggers them in a good way or in a negative way? All right. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that. Just wanted to shoot that out there. Just want to let you know that as we talk more about high impact decision making, it's so crucial to keep in mind. And as I'm almost finished with that book I told you guys that I was reading, that there are only three main things that a CEO needs to do: focus on the people hiring, focus on the culture, and then focus on the numbers. You need all three. And even when I think about, mergers and acquisitions, I'm not an expert in mergers and acquisitions. There are people who that's all they do. That's their specialization. But what I do know is helping to create and to make decisions, high impact decisions, more clear. And in order for that to be a little bit more clear, you also need to understand what and who's at stake. And oftentimes with some of these big decisions, these complex decisions, people tend to neglect people. They tend to neglect the individuals that they actually are doing business for. So anyway, that's that. In the meantime, if you guys wanna stick around, I am going to try to figure out how to change the title. I don't know if I can do it now that I'm actually recording. So that might be interesting. Let's see here. It might not even allow me to. Yeah. No, guys. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna allow me to change it. And that's okay. That's okay. I might do this again. I might have to just so that it's properly uploaded properly with the right title. But yeah, any and if there's anybody that's on right now, I know that there may be one or two of you that are watching from Twitch, which is cool. So hey, good to see y'all. Give a shout out, holla at me. Um, and I still am figuring out the whole chat thing. I think that you have to do like an upgrade for like some chat situations. So it's kind of looking at it now. Okay. Yeah, I think the only messages that I would send out, it would go to, is YouTube and Twitch. That's what it looks like right now. So okay, all right. Well, listen, no pressure. At some point, it's gonna be bumping. We are going to get there. But until then, just want you guys to know that if you had a hard time going to sleep for whatever reason, because it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night and you're just thinking about entrepreneurship, you're just thinking about business. I hope that this particular live kind of gave you a little reprieve and maybe even inspired you to think about, maybe some creative way to solve something. Maybe you're alive. Maybe you're awake right now and you're thinking about some huge M&A that's happening at your company. Maybe you're at the helm of it, hoping that this particular live maybe provided some insight so that you too can make the right decisions and think about the different maps. Big data with behavioral patterns, thinking about the simple empathy map, and then thinking about a customer journey map, which kind of takes the two that I covered and lays it out in in a way that you have your stages and you have the opportunities for design intervention at the very bottom of the map. Now, as a matter of fact, what I will do before I'm done, actually, let me see if I can do this here. I will share it with you so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So it's this one right here. That's the empathy map. This one right here. If you've never seen a customer journey map, customer journey maps can look like this. This is the one from NNG that I was talking about. All right. Nielsen Norman. Okay. And you got the opportunities here, and then you've got the internal ownership and metrics. Not all the time you have internal ownership and metrics. If it's just, you, then, there is no internal ownership. But if there's a team, this is going to be super helpful to know that, okay, these are the ways that we can probably intervene to solve a gap, solve a problem, like where it says, oh, why is this so difficult? So you can then assign it to a particular team or maybe a person. And here the metrics is also kind of focusing on, we talked about numbers. It's going to be helpful that so for instance, reducing the average call time to 2 minutes. That's a metric, right? So very specific numerical. Now, not all the time you're going to have specific metrics, but it's great if you can in the beginning, in a customer map to actually have that. Okay. So yeah, so that's that. All right. I think I'm going to end this live so that I can figure out this title situation so that you all aren't misled as to what this live is actually about. So I will see you all in the next live.